Folks, earlier today, I was talking about the mental addictions. There is a scientific viewpoint to this mental addiction. I want to talk to you about that so that you can understand clearly that this mental addiction is real, and also you will understand how the mental addiction takes place. Take an example of children being told by their parents that worship this God, otherwise God will punish you. Or if you worship this God every day, then God will protect you. Now note that there is a fear principle underlying this. When your parent or your relative says this when you are a child, then there is a pathway in your brain, pathway meaning the connection of various brain cells called neurons, store this information, and also this pathway is connected to the fear principle, the area in your brain where the fear is felt. So, if this instruction by your parents or your relatives are repeated again and again, then this pathway is strengthened. In other words, if you fail to worship the God that your parents told you, then immediately you are violating the path of neuron cells in your brain, and the fear center will be triggered, and then you will feel fear. So there are two essential features or essential things needed for this addiction to take place. One is repetition, and second is a deep emotion like fear. If a statement is repeated again and again and again, and it is associated with the fear principle, which is a deep emotion, then there is an addiction. An addiction is formed in your brain. Especially if you are a child, when the brain cells are empty, almost empty, and ready to receive anything that your parents say or some person of authority says, then these addictive pathways are formed in your brain. Same thing is true with the pleasure principle. Suppose you are experiencing some event in your life, let's say your sexual activity or some other pressure giving activity, and when it is repeated again and again, similar pathways are established in your brain, similar to the fear principle, but this time these pathways are connected to the pleasure center. Pleasure, joy, is an extremely deep emotion. So when this is repeated again and again and again, an addiction is formed. That is why you are without even being aware of it, tend to do the things that gave you pleasure in your life. The third addictive mechanism that I talked about is the fame, the mental concept. You have been told from very childhood, I mean, not all of you, most of you have been told from childhood that you should study well, make money, become a famous person, an authoritative person. You should compete with others. Look at the boy next door or the girl next door. He or she is doing very well. So you should use him or her as a role model, or a famous scientist as a role model, then become like him or her. And there are rewards for being that, because you can have a nice house, good family, a pleasurable retirement, etc., etc. Or you will be known even after you die. People will remember you, people will respect you, etc. These are all the reward centers. So when such things are repeated by your media, by the people, society, etc., etc., then there is an addiction, because there is a repetition and also there is a reward for that kind of behavior, being famous, being joyful, being in a very luxurious house, etc. Please note that I am not saying that you should not study. You should study, not to become a famous person, not to have a luxurious house, because you like it. You want to understand this thing around you, this thing called nature. And sometimes some of you may not be able to do well in studies, but still you can make money without any addiction if you do things not to become famous, not to compete with others, not to live in a luxurious house, not to have a great family, not to leave a legacy in this world, but to be just happy. So, if you understand how my mind gets addicted, then you will do things, good things. You will study, you will enjoy sex, you will be happy in your life. But at the same time, you will have the willpower not to do that, not to do addictive activity if you recognize that at the right time, because it will hurt you, it will hurt your family, it will hurt the society. Remember, I said not only you and your family, but also the society. I'll talk about that in another video, but briefly, note that your children are not only brought up by you, but also by the society. So if the society is addicted, is very harmful. And if you do something bad to the society, sometime or other, your children and yourselves will also be impacted. May not be your children or yourself, maybe your grandchildren and their children, etc. Because the society has changed in a harmful way. So make your mind to and decide to do things which are not only good for you and your family but also for the society. Keep that in mind. Now, having been addicted, I'm going to tell you now how these three lights inside you can help you to get out of that. Of course, there are medical ways of treating addiction, but all those techniques have side effects. But this one that I'm talking about will not have, excuse me, any harmful side effect. Even the psychological techniques, sometimes the psychiatrists use to come out of, make you to come out of the addiction, sometimes harmful. But the things that I'm going to talk about is very harmless, but it is not easy. But it is good, it is permanent. As I said, the white light which is inside you as a pure I principle has tremendous willpower. It's willpower, it is naturally in everybody, but this willpower has been corrupted by the mind. When somebody says, you cannot do this unless you worship God, or you are very weak, God is great, so always depend on God or depend on somebody. All these teachings, all these things will rob you of power, your own power of will. Folks, whether you know it or not, God is inside you as you, the I principle inside you, in an uncorrupted form. It has tremendous willpower, as I said. You should be able to use that to get rid of all the addictions the society has put on your brain when you are young, or even when you are an adult, or even now. There are constant impact on your brain by this addictive information coming up from the media, from society, and so on, culture, religion, etc. Second thing is this golden light. Whether you know it or not, that is inside you as the life principle and also principle of love and joy. But in a typical human being, that love and joy are corrupted by the mind, various addictions as attachment. to your children, to your family, etc. When that pure love and joy in uncorrupted form gives you tremendous joy, extremely tremendous joy, as I described in my first spiritual experience in my first video. There is nothing compared to that joy. And the third light, which is the red light, which underlies your body and your brain, has the potential to give you tremendous energy to act. The white light gives you power of will. The second light, golden light, gives you a power of joy and love. The third light gives you the power to act in this world. But currently, most of you are acting in a corrupted manner, modified by your this tremendous activity. This tremendous energy of activity is modified by your mental addictions. Then sometimes some of you are doing harmful things, not only to you, but also to your family and to the society. But you may say, look, it's not easy to experience this three lights inside me. Folks, that's how you've been brainwashed by religion, by various people of authority, that you are weak. You have to worship God. There is some God somewhere in the heaven which is so powerful, and you have committed some sin, so you have to be punished. God is great compared to you, and you are weak. The fact is that the God is inside you. Hindu scriptures say that, but at the same time they use this to cause mental addiction, to worship some form of God, Shiva or somebody, and rob you of this power to experience the three lights inside you. As I said, when all your mental addictions are removed, when you throw away, as I did when I was 31, just before my first spiritual experience, you will experience these three lights inside. What is preventing that to happen? All these mental addictions. Remove them, then automatically the three lights inside you will be visible to you. You will be able to act with the willpower of quote unquote God, the one beyond human mind. You'll be able to love whole humanity. With tremendous love and joy. You'll be able to act with lot of power to do good things, not only to you, but also to your family, to people around you. I'll talk to you soon, folks.